Good morning, guys. Today we are back to work on the Quilt Builder card deck. We're going to do another block from this box. Remember that it is copyright 2018 by C&T Publishing, and I'm going to show you what they want you to accomplish, and then I'm going to put the block together using the techniques that I know, not necessarily the directions or the measurements that they've used. But I will be making 10.5-inch blocks from this. So let's get this and see which block we're building today and get it put together. Have a great day. Welcome back to Practically Creative, guys. All right, this week's block is the Balkan puzzle block, and it looks like a fairly simple block. They do have you, it's a 3-color block, and they do have you making HSTs out of the same color here. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cut those squares to match the size that these are supposed to be. Let's go to the next picture. And this is their directions. Now this is actually pretty simple. Hopefully it won't be a 3-seam ripper block like last week's. I'm going to go ahead and make a Magic 8 HST set for the A and B's. I've already cut my C, and of course I've covered up their measurements so that you can't see the copyrighted content on this card. But we're going to put this together and we're going to get started on this right now. So let's go over to the sewing machine and the cutting table and put this all together. Okay, so here are the pieces for this Balkan puzzle block. There's the card. I have cut the squares. I don't know where that came from. I've cut the squares to match the center and the HSTs, and I have already put together my fabric for my half square triangles. I've drawn a line diagonally both directions, and then I'm going to sew a 1/4-inch seam down the side of what the lines that I've drawn. And I'm doing it at a 1.5-inch seam and scant a 1.5-inch stitch length and a scant 1/4 inch. Both sides of that seam or that drawn line. Both drawn lines. I have a pin in here just to make sure that my fabric doesn't shift. Now that I've got those seams sewn, let's bring you guys in a little closer here. I'm going to go ahead and pull these pins out and move those out of my way. You see where those seam lines are? I'm looking for the intersection. And I'm going to take my ruler right across that intersection. And I'm going to cut straight across the intersection this way. And then I'm going to cut straight across the intersection this way without moving my pieces. Love my Martelli rotary cutter. And then I'm going to cut on the drawn line on the diagonal on each of these. You have a longer ruler, you can do longer cuts. I always end up moving this because I don't have as much room here where I record. All right. Now I'm going to bring over my square up ruler for my triangles. Make sure I turn it the right way. Now I need my triangles to be 2 3/4 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the 2 3/4 inch mark on my seam line, and I'm going to cut off the excess. I know it seems like there's a lot of excess, but because these are an odd size, I went up to the 3-inch mark for the HSTs, and now I'm bringing them back down to the size that I need. And I needed 8 of these. So that's what I'm trimming up here is 8.
Double checking your measurements before I do anything. Like I should double check better here.
Okay, so now that we have everything squared up, I'm going to move my ruler out of the way, and I'm going to open all of my HSTs, half square triangles, so that they go towards the darker color, green in this case. And I know my girl Stephanie is going, yes, green, I love green. While I'm opening them, I'm going to go ahead and get my dog ears. That's the biggest reason I'm opening them right now anyway. And I'm doing it today with my rotary cutter, but you can use your embroidery scissors or whatever you like to be able to do this. I just want to make sure that those dog ears aren't in my way when I put my block together. Once again, I'm just finger pressing. The only reason I'm finger pressing here instead of taking them to the iron is just for the sake of time. But if I were doing this for myself for a quilt that I was, wanting to make sure was perfect, I would definitely be using my iron. But I just want to show you how to put this block together. So I'm going to square all these up or open all these up and get the dog ears off, and I will be back in just a moment. Okay, so now we're going to put our triangle blocks in. And they basically go in with the green toward the solid block on each one. So if you look at it like this, you'll see that that green goes toward the solid block. You could have also made this making flying geese, but I didn't do it that way. And I'm just finger pressing my stuff open. But can you see the flying geese when I put these down? And I am looking directly at my card while I do this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top of the block, and I'm going to take and put one row at a time together. And sew these together. Still using that 1.5 inch seam length, 1.5 stitch seam length. Sorry. Laying it out flat. And I'm making sure that my blocks stay in the same order that I laid them out. So that my block comes out right. And I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I know not everybody wants to watch this happen in so much detail, but if you're making this block, I want to make sure you can see exactly how I did it. You don't have issues with making your block. And we're going to open that up. That is our first row done. Now these are going to get sewn together on the sides and then put back down, and then we'll sew that row together. And you may notice that I am putting everything back exactly where it belongs in between sewing. That's so that I don't end up having to seam rip this. All right. That's it. You may notice I'm off about 1/8 of an inch on each side. I'm not super worried about that because it will go into the seam allowance. It's less than a 1/4 inch. I'm not going to sweat. Push your seam open. You put your next piece on. Quarter-inch seam allowance. And I'm giving you 2 views today just to try to make it easy for you guys to see what I'm doing. Finger press. Okay. Now we're going to take our rows and we're going to put our rows together. Start right here. Go down. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. I want to make sure I've got it laid out properly. That is our block all sewn. Using my fingers to press everything down. And then I want to check my measurements. I'm going to start over here at 10 and we're going to go to yep, measures out perfectly at 10.5. So now we're going to come over here to the main camera view. Here's our block. It's all put together. It's 10.5 inches and it matches our block exactly. I'll iron it. I'll put it in my stack of Balkan puzzle blocks and we will go on to the next block. Thank you for watching today. This wasn't a seam ripper block at all, which I'm thrilled for. And I hope this is helping you figure out easier ways to do blocks, whether it's out of this quilt builder box or out of something else. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching.